you know, we've got, tornado warnings, and we've got game 1 of the finals for the Blackhawks tonight, but I'm so glad that you guys made it out here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you for coming out to the Cabaret. I know, per usual, more people will show up, but I'm like, we're going to start this out, and it'll be an awesome time. I'm going to throw this out, and I might try to read something from them later, but I said that the May-June issues of cc&d and Down in the Dirt came out in the beginning of June, and days later, collection books for both of those books came out as well. January through June 2013, Down in the Dirt has Entanglement, which has this bunch of really cool stories in it, and yeah, Coral for Underground for the cover for that, and cc&d magazine has Guilt by Association, and we had to pull off mass shootings into metal in order to pull off the cover for this one, which I thought was kind of cool. So I might give you something from those sometime this evening in betwixt you awesome open micers. But I was trying to think, what can I read? And I thought of like, well, Father's Day is coming up, so maybe I've got something for Father's Day. And of course, I don't. I have an acceptance that's coming in like 2014 into cc&d, and it's all about how evil Dad is or something, but that's the best I could pull off for a Father's Day reference, which isn't about Father's Day because dads are cool, so I'm just saying that. So this is called Oh Father. This is my letter to you. I cannot speak. I can barely write. My knuckles are now white from the tension, and my hands shakes with fear. My secret, this secret on this page has lasted 20 years, 7 months, and 27 days. And it will probably last until you are well beyond your grave. It all started the way it all usually does, as I was showing someone some of my poetry. They were reading my writings, the ones you never read, although I offered them to you. They would read, they would compliment, and I would blush, for I could never understand how someone could appreciate me. Do you see what you've taught me? Then they'd read the poem about my father, the one there I imagined that you were dead. I remembered when your daughter phoned to tell me you were sick, and I didn't care. I just imagined you were dead. But once, I was gripped with such fear when I thought of you dying. Just once. I don't remember when, but it bothered me. How can I care about you? I hate you. Why should I love you? You never loved me. I felt weak when I thought I cared for a man I didn't know. Maybe I wanted to care, to think that one day you might magically turn into my father, pick me up on your shoulders, twirl me around the room. Maybe I didn't want to accept my reality. I wanted to forget you. I walked over to that liquor cabinet, but then I realized that that's what you would do. I wanted to yell, but then I remembered your temper. Then I wondered if this is why I hated myself as much as I hated you. I remember when I was 5 and you called me an asshole for something I didn't do. And I remember that you never apologized. I remember you would yell at me for not smiling. God damn it, you have nothing to be depressed about, you'd say. And I would just try to smile for you. I remember when you told me not to disrupt your goddamn life. And I just sat there, speechless. I was only trying to be nice. I didn't ask to be your child. I didn't ask for anything. And now you say I ask for too much. All I asked was for love from you, you bastard. But that was the only thing that you didn't seem willing to give. So I'll close this letter knowing that you'll never bother to read it, knowing I'll never bother to send it. I am stubborn, like yourself, and I will have to keep this secret with me while I try to run from you. Happy Father's Day. Thank you very much. I was going to leave it at that one because, as I said, I might do things from collection books, guilt by association, or entanglement. We'll see what we come up with throughout the evening because Scars Publications, I run 2 literary magazines, cc&d and Down in the Dirt, so I like to try to get stuff from other people in there. But in the meantime, the first man I want to bring up is Mr. Osimo himself. I don't know where that came from, Osimo, but he's an awesome guy. Please, ladies and gentlemen, Joffrey Stewart. Joffrey, come up here. And by the way, I think last week I brought this pillar here. If anybody brought their beer, they have a place to put their drink. And then, like, it's still here. That's awesome. So if anybody wants to bring their drink up with them, they can. Nothing. Thank you.
I'll do 3. This first one is kind of speculative in that I might use it in a reading at Weeds where all the readings are from an iPhone. I don't have one that I know, and if I have one, I'm sure I don't know how to use it. So this is how this is speculative. If I get one or get into it, I'll be glad to use this one. The title, The Tension in the Future Tense. In this fool's paradise, gently alerted by and of declining energy, I plug in the cell phone to the nuclear source that should have been terminated yesterday. It charges, not like Pickett, but more ever so gently, ravenous to be sustained by uncontrollable pollution, greedy for mindless profits at any cost to East Africans, whose misery courses it through circuits connected by rare earths, lighting up plastic, which is not beyond petroleum, and paid for perhaps by irreversible environmental damage, even while it may display user busy, as often as the CIA wants to defeat the First Amendment to a wretched legal system that always should have been terminated yesterday. And for this one, you go inside to page 2. And at the bottom of page 2, you have a little thing that hung on Jimmy Carter's Christmas tree. And it'll serve as an introduction to my next poem. Break the law into peace with war, tax, resistance. 1-800-269-7464 nwtrcc.org. And, well, I admire Jimmy Carter for the way he fights tropical diseases, but I consider democracy as a disease, and he's very much pushing democracy. And so that inspires me to write what I think about that sometimes in regard well, I write about that all the time, but sometimes in regard to Jimmy Carter. And for this one, I use his phrase, transitions of power, to build this poem on. It came in one of his fund appeals, in a letter accompanying one of his fund appeals. I give it the title, Democracy IA. The epigraph is from Sherman Skolnick, who was reported murdered by Mossad 7 years ago last May. Report from anonymous source. New York City firemen, there were bombs in the building. Cyberspaceorbit.com. Crucial info evidence. Explosives toppled WTC. In 2 parts. 1. Because I donate, especially pacifist thought, to this former submarine commander whose mother once suggested mob action, I feel I must object with objectivity where error is in the mix of good intentions. 2. Transitions of power are begging words used by the peanut farmer, faultlessly endowed by slavery, America's original sin, and with the signification of good if the transition of power is electoral, even if stolen, as in Florida 2000, for he is not known for any criticism of American elections. Second to none for crookedness since the 14th and 15th Amendments, as he endeavors to keep elections honest anywhere else in the world. This good Baptist with a Jewish mother and despised by Jews for his sincerity more than any president of our generations, makes example enough that transitions of power, democratic or otherwise, have the negative consequence of producing history, as he did before invading Iran by suckering USSR into war with its CIA, producing 34 years and counting of Central Asian misery, developing Islamist extremists, including Osama bin Laden, framed in the media for the Mossad neocon work of 9/11, rhyming democracy with conspiracy, for war on terror, phony, but very real war on our liberties, all having root in the electoral perversion of whatever good intentions, which by the nature of the state have no influence on ultimate consequence as history.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Sorry, I don't know where that voice came from. And I'm just showing this, taunting you with this right now, because I feel a little perturbed that right now all of the open micers are men. And we have this awesome, awesome woman feature, so please give it up for our feature tonight with Andy Carroll. Give it up, yeah! And I'm saying this, and I'm saying that shortly, I'm going to go trolling around to put your life savings into a bag, but I'm going to wait until a little later when more people are filtering in. I'll be like, you, give me your money. Your anything you've got. Yeah, I hear them talking back there. So I thought I'd do it really quick, and I would, we were talking, he talked about the iPhone, and we were talking with somebody here like, I don't want to read poems from my phone and from texts and stuff, so I thought I'd find a page that actually happens to have 4 really, really, really short pieces in it, but I don't know what one of the ones I want to read, because some of them are statements like you'd find in a text to somebody. This was a found poem from a New Jersey mom, because you have phrases like, how is it that my daughter can fall out of bed, land 2 feet below on a hardwood floor, yet only awaken when I slowly pick her up and place her ever so gently back into bed. And then she starts sobbing, because you always get texts like that. But here, I'm going to do, all right. And here, well, here's another one. Here's another one. I'll stagger these around. This one, I think this one is, which one should I do? I'll do poverty in America first. A man competing in American Ninja Warrior said that at one point he was so poor that he had lived out of his car. Wow. He had a car? I guess it all depends on what you call poor. Exactly, right? This one is totally a tweet thing, a statement about something. I just saw a circa 350-pound man walk into my job wearing eyeglasses with Scotch tape wrapped around the bridge of the glasses, and the right arm of the right side of his glasses was sitting 2 inches below his eye. And he actually walked into the school. Like, what on earth is that? But I thought this would be a good one to end it with. Well, I guess. This is Hunt the Game. Men used to shoot the deer, hunt the game, and now they can't even find anything in the fridge. Exactly. So, I mean, there are really long pieces, but I'm trying to find really, really short things. It's a huge old volume. It has everything from cc&d from the first 6 months of 2012, and there might even be local people. I haven't even checked my table of contents. But in the meantime, I'm hoping that the next open mic coming up is going to read 2 pieces that I just accepted for future issues of cc&d magazine in the Chicago Pulse section. So please give it up for Jerry. Jerry Menrian, sit up here.
Thank you.
No, I'm the tall one.
This is called proving points. Statements, counter-statements exchanged, quotes from internal rule books. He sends out emails for events. She's reading on the living room couch. He finishes a short story in their bedroom. Hears her yawn while reading an essay. He tries to sleep. Her slow sigh from the living room couch holds his eyes open. She walks in, changes into her nightgown. He tries not to look, turns over. I'm going to read a couple of things that were written by a much younger man. Even though it was recently accepted. Well, let's just say Janet has better taste than many people who rejected this. It's called Letter to a Stranger. Last night, I sat on the living room rug watching the all-night movie that flashed upon the wall in this house I have constructed. I grabbed my pistol and sprung to my feet when I heard the trap door creak. You rose from the basement, drew me towards you with your crystal medallion. I laid down the pistol, took another step forward, but you slid back into the basement and locked the trap door. I shifted my eyes back to the wall. A quintet on stage. The lead singer stepped back to the mic. Her medallion had a crystal stone. I turned off the projector, but the images remained. Her voice, or was it your voice, still in my head. I tried to call you, but the wires between my town and yours had all been cut. And the only rent-a-car within 30 miles went out of business just a few days ago. No train or bus stations near you. But it doesn't really matter. Even if my words reached your ears, they would only dissolve before they seeped inside. I know I may never drive you out of the basement, but I won't spend another week building monuments to connections no longer working. This is called journey. Time moves slow and fast. Thoughts run frenzied and free in a country uncharted, but always known when seen. The breath of its wind unlocks notes in a scale imagined but never attempted, where we can dig for treasure with no consistent shape or measure. How are we on time?
You're good. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay,
Use a mic.
this also was written by a much younger man. A smart aleck in college looking back on elementary school at Our Lady of the Inquisition. I'm going to do it from memory. Okay. I sat in your religion class, or was it spelling? Sometimes it was hard to tell. You read aloud, "If thine eye offend thee, pluck it out." At graduation dance, Mrs. Lang said you wanted to see me dance again. I asked her to put on Jumpin' Jack Flash and walked with Sue to the free throw circle. We moved like two boats in a crosswind. We arched our backs and fucked without touching. I saw your eyes bulge out of the corner of my eye as we strutted with springs in our bones through a soul train. Next Monday in class, your eyes were still intact. Okay, this was the first poem I ever got published in my alma mater's magazine. It's a portrait in progress. There's a canvas and a nude woman outside a farmhouse in a dust storm. The shifting gusts disarrange her moist hair, press the painter's ears against his head. It's hard for him to hear the currents inside her.
Thank you. I feel tempted to bring the other book to read, but I guess I won't. Because I've just had so many men coming up here that I should have another one coming up. Because some of you may or may not know that the 20-year anniversary issue of cc&d magazine, the thing that I've been editing for 20 years, has just been released. And I am yay, cc&d! And I am tired of touting about it, so John Yatko here is going to read a couple of short pieces from within it. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. John Yatko. Come on up here.
So what I have to find out is, did her eyes offend you?
What? It was in reference to unclean thoughts.
Okay. I just wondered if if it was that if thine eyes offend thee, then pluck them out.
What
about if your eyes offend me? Can I pluck yours out? That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay, I got a couple of poems here from cc&d magazine, 20th anniversary edition. And the first one is by I.D. Rad, and it's called The Cloak of Invisibility. Slipping on an invisibility cloak assumes no novel chemical formula. no deep insight in physics, no awesome engineering, nor is it purely fictional. Instead, it's incredibly ordinary. It's simply the affliction of becoming poor assures invisibility. I don't write these things. If I wrote them, you would all be asleep by now. Because I do not write good poetry. This is a very short one by Corey Cook. It's called Sitting at the Bus Stop at Sunrise. It's almost like a haiku, but it's not. Sun radiates from its lofty pulpit, church in shadow. I guess you're right. Okay, and this last one from Richard King Perkin II. The things you feel cannot be the things I feel. The things you feel cannot be the things I feel, but I wish they were. Shared like conjoined creatures with mutual lungs, and when we breathe, it could only be together, and then you would feel the things I feel because they would be ours. Vital organs working together to keep us living, but more so to keep us so miserably from dying. Misunderstood. cc&d Magazine 20th Anniversary Edition. Please go to scars.tv and look for these things.
All right. Great. Thank you. Well, just for that, I'm going to have to read something from the other book. I don't know. Just thought I'd do this before I bring up Erin Kelly, who's been accepted with cc&d. I'm not reading your stuff because you read it recently. That was going to cc&d. This is from Down the Dirt magazine. There are two magazines from Scars Publications. cc&d started, originally Down the Dirt started as a supplement to cc&d in like 1994, but it started off on its own in like 2000. And it's now running in these, same kind of issues, things like cc&d. And this is a collection of that with really good coral living thing on the cover. But this is called How You Looked Then. I just thought that this was lovely and appropriate, so I thought I'd do this before, separating my lovely and appropriate men, I guess. This is how you look then. I take snapshots of these things in my mind. I rifle through them. When I'd see you in the bathroom, mirror like that, I'd usually wrap myself around your arm, lean my head on your shoulder, and just stare. I don't think you ever noticed how I'd look at you at those times, like you were my mentor, my savior. Or when we were at the restaurant and you were sitting across from me wearing that denim button-down shirt that I bought you, and you were just eating and you were slouched over your plate, elbows on the table, and you were just eating, not paying any attention to much else around you. And you hadn't shaved in a few days, and the copper-colored stubble was every once in a while catching the light. And in between bites, you kept combing your hair back with your fingers because it kept falling into your face. While you were eating, I just had to stop, lean back, and stare at you for a while. I don't know why, but I'll never forget how you looked then. Here's your praise. Down the dirt. Thank you. Both magazines except Poetry and Prose, and thank you very much. And now I'm going to give it up for another man who's been accepted with cc&d, Erin Kelly. Please come up and love Erin!
A few love poems mixed with a few political poems, all very short. Not going to waste too much time with the synopsis. I'll just dive right in. Lately, the CTA has been giving me a lot of inspiration to write since I ride the L's and the buses a lot. And so, this one is called Purple Line, Linden Stop. The sexiest thing I've ever seen was not a woman in a bathing suit or stretched out as a centerfold in a magazine, but a girl in glasses waiting on a train, thoroughly engrossed in her Kindle. This one is called Clarence, or as the writer Amiri Baraka refers to him quite fondly as Thomas Clarence. It's kind of hard to pull yourself up by your bootstraps if a foot is always on your neck. They're not giving me anything. They owe me. I realize now I'll never be published in the New Yorker, but after the Obama cover, I really don't care. This one is called Tracy, and I'll just let this explain itself. She hit me like a wrecking ball and I saw stars. A hint of a red garter, she pulled up a white thigh. She reminded me of Catwoman or Betty Page. Her sexuality was more cerebral and old school. She said I was the first brother she ever felt this way about, and I was in her lair. She said, "You're not getting out." If her coochie's like a pit bull, I'm done for. I think she might have been a flopper or a gun mall in a past life. I don't know if her name ends with a slingshot or a stick of dynamite, but I should be so lucky. Bling bling makes Webster's dictionary. She had been surprised when I told her I had been to Europe. Why did you get so excited about going there, she said. I told her I wanted to be somewhere where I didn't feel American. She claimed she listened to hip hop, but long skirts told me she belonged to God. She screwed up her face when I said money and material things weren't my gods. It's been 3 weeks since I've seen her at the coffee house. I shouldn't have told her that I had a BA. I think she would have liked me if I were more straight. This one is called Terry. I was standing in his kitchen. His house looked like something out of a Faulkner novel. A southern mansion, 2 stories tall, complete with fruit trees. Terry was a small man with the fight of an Irishman. Kept telling me to tilt my head to the right. He kept adjusting my pose, taking breaks only to use his morphine drip. He kept telling me to hold the pose a certain way. This man, whose voice was barely a leaf, who didn't know he was on his last legs and didn't care, told me to hold that pose. I did. He took that picture with his digital camera. I told myself after that visit, I wanted the commitment to art Terry had. He told me if everyone could do art, it wouldn't be called that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. But by your screams and hollers on there, I think you'd approve. I'm like, I couldn't approve for you to applaud. First things first, because I've got somebody awesome that's going to come up next. I wasn't anticipating doing this, but I'm going to fill some space by reading pieces. But very first and most important, there is this bag, which has survived a lot, other than drinking the Crown Royal bag within it. I'm telling you to put your life savings in this for this phenomenal feature. So please, anything that anybody could put in, I'm going to pass it over to John first, I think. But put anything in for Andy Carroll. I'll toss it. And it'll fall onto the floor, I'm sure, because I can't throw. He was a pitcher, but I get a bag. You're the catcher? He actually was in Little League. Right. And that's why I didn't make a joke by that. Oh, now I feel like an ass. Sorry about that. Oh, I should have known. So I was going to read 3, and I don't even know this wonderful man's name. But he's going up next and he's looking at his iPhone. You're next. What's your name?
Tom.
Tom is good. Early, just fuck with us. Yeah, I'm early. Yeah, sorry. I'll read some stuff. I'm like, just fuck with you, sorry. I was going to do 3 pieces so that he has time to pound his beer and analyze his poetry on his iPhone, on his smartphone. This is a piece that is going to be in a book with C. Ron McGirt called Tag Team Poetry. This is called Trying to Change Fate. The way a weight is stretched on a stretched elastic cloth, how it can move and disturb the fabric of that cloth, everything in existence can distort space in the universe. I've been wrapping my head around this, that gravity is not the strong one, but gravity is just a consequence of the distortion of space and time. The larger the distortion of space and time, the bigger effect you see in gravity. So as sci-fi media talks of warp speed, all they're really talking about is producing a large enough energy burst to wrap space-time so you can instantly arrive at the other end of the universe. Because with all that energy, the other end of the universe comes to you. I've been wrapping my head around this, using dark energy to bend time and space, and I keep wondering what I would do if I knew when and where to get away from where I was, to get to where I need to be. Would I have learned my lesson and not come to you when you, the ex-gang member, strangled me? Would I have come to you in the middle of the night, called an ambulance before your heart attack, keeping you alive? Would I instantly arrive on one fateful Saturday to go swimming instead of waiting in traffic, being almost killed while stopped on the road? Would I come to you, despite the hurricane, to hold you once before you let death consume you? Wait. I know us. I was your daughter, but I was never close enough to you to hold you. I should know better than to contemplate bending space-time, trying to change fate. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's hard to think of a plotting for a sad theme like that, and I'm sorry. And that's what I seem to write, and that's another theme on that, on different style, I guess. This is called Farmer. And just north of his cornfield, there is a college. The university has bought up the property right to the edge of his land. And at that university, there is a man studying plant biology. He wants to do research in food genetics, create the perfect ear of corn. And the farmer knows this. All he wanted was to be able to make a living, maybe save up enough so his kid could go over to campus every morning, maybe meet some new kids. The government assistance has run out. The state wants to push the university south an extra mile, put up a research lab, another dormitory. The drought has done nothing good for his field anyway, and the doctors say that the lump under his shoulder is from the sun. All of these years, he would wake up early Sundays to work, and he would find tire tracks from souped-up cars digging into his property edge, kids leaving beer cans, junk food wrappers, condoms, and he would clean what he could. In the upcoming years, would his little boy do this to someone else? This was his labor. He had sown the seeds, the plants, running, hurdling the rolling hills, sprinters, uniform, and marathon. And all the way to the street at the edge of his property, that green sign reading 1800 South, all the way to the end is his life, his little earth in straight rows like the peas on his son's plate when he used to play with his food. And now the rows of corn are less straight, as if in recent years he didn't care. This year, it's the worst yet. He didn't bother with the right chemicals, and there are weeds in between the rows. The grass next to his house is almost up to his waist, and he's awake now. It's 4 in the morning, and he's just wandering out in it all, and he's almost crazy. The grass waves, almost staggers, like him, and he thinks, let the weeds grow. Thank you. I figured I'd do 3 before we have our phenomenal open micer Tom, because I had to do something happier, so this one is a nice happier attitude one. This is a short one called Shame on Me. You are stubborn, moody, angry, and hateful. You want to hate, and you want to hate me. And I keep thinking that you couldn't even think your way out of a cardboard box, you asshole. But I still tried. I wanted to make it work with us, and the highs were so high, but the lows were too low. And I've tried, I've worked, and I've slaved for you, and I wanted to know that this couldn't fail. But, once again, you proved me wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Thank you, thank you. And now, like earlier, I said people reading off of their iPhones and stuff. We're going to bring it all full circle here. So please, give it up for Newbie. I love you, I love you. Give it up for Tom. Woo! Oh, it's not an iPhone. It's just easier, shorter to say that smartphone. Got a phone?
It is an iPhone. You said I was reading off of it.
Oh, so you got all remember your old lesson?
Maybe. I haven't decided which one I'm going to read.
Oh, everything. Go ahead. Go, go, go. And there's an awesome beer stand if you want to buy. Beer stand. I left that thing there last week, and it stayed there, and I'm like, it's your beer stand now. Awesome.
Jesus
Oh, good thing you didn't put your beer on that.
I was about to, and I'm not going to.
Do you need a seat? Or like, how many more things can we get from you? I'm so inspired.
I'll give them courage, huh? Yeah.
There's your liquid courage.
Yeah.
Eat that mic. We want to hear you. Eat the mic. And he's not reading off his iPhone.
Hello?
Hello. We hear you now.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm gonna let me talk to him. Whatever. How do I just...
I don't know. This
I'm sorry, I just don't want to be stooping.
Ah.
Like the hunchback in Notre Dame or something.
That
Okay,
work for you?
that works, yeah.
Yeah. That's you're just. Oh, yeah.
So, I'm Tom. Hello?
Hi, Tom.
How's everyone?
Awesome. Now that you're there. Woo!
So, I've never, like, read a poem in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I said it in the publishers and stuff, and I rejected and everything, you know. Not this one, that was a long time ago. Anyway, this is called Sunrise, Sunset. Sunrise and Sunset. I don't really know what the title is yet. That wasn't meant to rhyme. That was an accident. All right, daybreak, dawn. When sunrise is a Rube Goldberg machine, the apparatus of puerile poets and morning commuters. And birds are whistling a dirge, mourning the moon. This is nature's beautiful bedlam. Yeah. All right, I'm done.
All right, Tom. So my question to everyone is this: anyone who would like to read at the open mic? Anyone? Anyone, anyone? Are we all good? Have we got everyone? I wanted... You're... And who are you? What is your name, my love?
I'm William.
William? Woo! It's a really tall mic.
It's okay.
Just keep the mic in your own.
Well, I'm gonna be one of those hateful guys that I'm gonna be reading my phone. So, actually, I didn't expect read right now. Just come here to the amazing Andy and Carol. Well, I just recently moved from Mexico City to Chicago 1 year ago, and I was walking, one of those nights in Chicago, and just remembering what was my life like 1 or 2 years ago, and I said, well, now I'm here, and tomorrow I don't know where I'm gonna be. So it was a very foggy night, and all the neon lights were bright in there, and the signs of the hotels and the cheap bars in the corner. So you know that kind of sensation. And I don't have any pen, so I just take out my phone. I said, well, I just begin type, and this is where it came. It is called "Who's Calling the Ancient Gods?" Who's calling the ancient gods? Play music, play movies, play love. Pray the Lord tomorrow for another day. Pay your taxes, your bills. The midnight bus is coming, traveling full of ghosts and vampires. The yellow street lamps light illumina the body of a strange walker in the middle of the night. In the middle of nothing, the dust of the road is a cloud, remaining forever in the streets of the city. Who is calling the ancient gods? Quetzalcoatl, the starlight, Tlaloc, the wind who blows in Chicago, the windy sea in Mexico, Tenochtitlan, in your heart. Thank you guys. And thanks for the open mic. Amazing, just improvise there.
Oh, well, thank you. John. Oh my gosh, we have done another one. Oh, that's yes! Crap, I'd have to read something with their feature. I don't have another open mic. What is your name, young, beautiful, voluptuous lady?
Emmy.
Emmy, please give it up for the Emmy-winning woman, Emmy. Give it up!
How bad that is. This phone is at least 5 years, if not more, older.
We're talking about how people are doing that. It's like, I don't have paper, I could save on that and never do something, so you're awesome.
This is from like notes from Facebook, which you could do once.
Yes!
And that's how I found it. It's a note I wrote at least 5 years ago. I don't know. Facebook could probably tell me if I really looked really hard. But here it goes. It's called The Queen of Hearts. Once upon a time, we played solitaire by the lake, and the cards kept blowing away, but we continued to play, forgetting what's at stake, our stuff, our jobs, our friends, our lives. You looked into my eyes, what could I say? You kissed me on the nose, everything will be okay. And I floated away like the Queen of Hearts.
Love those fans, huh?
See, if you don't have a chance to print stuff up, you've always got your iPhone or your Android or your Samsung or your Motorola or your CB radio or whatever.
What about Windows phones?
Does Windows have phones? Sorry, that was rude. I don't know. I don't even have a smartphone. What? I don't. terrible at that. Is there anybody else? I want a double plus check. Anybody? Bueller? Is there anybody else?
I want to do one more, but I need to have a smoke first and just finish it up.
We can wait till you time. We can wait.
Yeah.
I want to wait for Dad.
You need drugs?
Well, then,
Yeah, drugs?
that's totally fine. You can miss my one poem, which is what I was going to end the night with. So go out and smoke quickly.
Oh, yeah, well, no.
Are you all good?
Yes, you're right.
Go out and smoke quickly. You'll miss the one poem that I was going to end.
We can't smoke on stage anymore, right?
Yeah, well, what can you do? Yeah, the good old days. So, in a Facebook post back and forth, I'm like, what should I read, Andy? And she's like, anything about, and the one thing she said was feminism, and I'm like, I popped up a link, and I said, how about this one? She said, that's awesome! So I was going to read this piece that I haven't read for years, but it is called A Man Calls a Woman, and it starts with a quote from somebody who wrote an essay, I think, called Bob Lamb, and I'm hoping that my wonderful, sexy, voluptuous, phenomenal feature will come up and read that quote, and then I'm going to read the poem. So Andy, get on up here. Come on up. She'll read the quote and I'll read the poem. I just tilted it down. Oh, that works too. Or you can tilt this back and forth.
I don't know how voluptuous I am. Every time a man calls a woman a bitch, the threat of rape lies behind his hostility. Every time a man calls a woman a witch, he reminds her of the slaughter of millions whose independence and medical knowledge threatened male dominance. Every time a man makes a joke about rape or wife beating, he issues a warning to women. Bob Lamb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time a man calls a woman a babe, he tells her he thinks that she is a child. Every time a man calls a woman a fox, he tells her that she is be treated like an animal. Every time a man calls a woman a honey, he tells her she's meant to be consumed. Every time a man calls a woman a doll, he tells her she's something to be played with. Every time a man calls a woman a bag, he tells her that she is something to be used. Every time a man calls a woman a slit, he tells her she's a body part, not whole. Every time a man calls a woman a screw, he's saying what he'd like to do to her. Every time a man calls a woman a girl, he tells her that she can't think like an adult. Every time a man calls a woman a whore, he tells her she is wrong for having sex. Every time a man calls a woman a lay, he tells her she's no good on her feet. Every time a man calls a woman anything less than a woman, he tells her who's the boss. So yes, we all know who the boss is, boys. You've done such a good job of telling us. Is Tom taking his little smoke still? Yeah, that'll happen. So, I'm going off of memory, and this might be vaguely appropriate. This is a poem called The Burning. I take the final swig of vodka, feel it burn its way down my throat, hiss, and it's scorching my tongue, and reach for that bottle to pour myself another. I think of how my tonsils scream every time I let that alcohol rape me. And then I look down at my hands, shaking, holding that glass of poison, and think of how these were the hands that should have pushed you away from me, but didn't. And I keep wondering why I took your hell, took your poison. I let you burn your way through me. You corrupted me from the inside out, and I kept coming back. I let you burn a hole right through me. I hated it. And now I have to rid myself of you. And my escape is flowing in the glass and between the ice cubes in that glass nestled in my palm. But I have to drink more. The burning doesn't last as long as you do. It's the vodka. Where's my liquor? What? Do we have a?
Read another one?
Oh yes. Who is up? Who is up? Come on up. Who is this? I can't see.
Lightning pants.
Is this Emmy again?
Emmy lightning pants.
Lightning pants. This is Emmy. This is my award-winning open mic. Get up for Emmy. Get up here.
This one's a sad one, so break out the Kleenex, everybody. This is called If We Can Only Get Off Our Hang-Ups and Be Happy Again.
Okay, yeah, right?
Why dwell? I focus on how I fell, and you let me down. If we were never happy once, how could we be happy again? We can see how things are unfair, and we can't hear the tree falling. I bought a bottle of water and took water for granted. Will you take me for granted that I will be there for tomorrow? When we make our deepest desire someone else's happiness, do we forfeit our own? Is it a pointless battle to show love and never be shown it? If you are who you are, how can you be anything else? What is the consequence of caring too much?
I'm usually running around just going, who's up, gotta get down. Awesome pants. But, Tom's still not up, is he?
Tom's passed out outside.
What?
I'm just
Tommy boy, come on. Is there anybody that would like to come up because I don't like reading? Yeah. Who? No? Who?
You know what? I don't know what.
You don't even remember no names or who? Did you want to come up?
Well, I don't have anything prepared. Well, yeah, let's do something. Well, you got me with my gun in my hand. I believe absolutely in the power of improvisation and the calling of the gods when you're doing something you love. It can be poetry or making love, anything. And I'm a fan and music lover, and knows it. So I think that the poetry transcends with sound. It can be only sound, not the meaning of the word. It's the other rhythm, the musicality that is in between the words. So I'm gonna try to do something in Spanish. It doesn't gonna make any sense for you. So I just wanted you to hear that kind of universal music. ¿Y quién quisiera coger con todo el mundo? Nadie. Pero aún la más pequeña partícula de todas las cosas tiene algo. Ese algo se llama corazón. Pero si ese corazón no estuviera aquí, yo tampoco lo estaría. Oh Dios, ¿cómo es que ahora me encuentro yo aquí cuando hace unos días las cosas solamente tenían que ser, tenían que pasar? Yo caminaba solo por el río y nada pasaba, mientras el ventilador daba vueltas y todo en mi cabeza me decía, sí, tú estás aquí, ahora, en el lugar correcto. Pero nada pasa, así que vengamos, demos gracias a un día más, las cosas no suceden.
I could read things from other people, but I read things out of everything. Is Tom still not here?
Are we gonna wait for Tom?
I thought that was what that was all about. She's got her 20-minute feature.
He's engrossed with his iPhone.
She's engrossed with his iPhone. Is that Tom?
Put your cigarette out.
It is out.
Then get your butt on over here. He's like, I need to get another beer. How long is it gonna be? Should I pull something off really short?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Camera? I can't believe I'm going to do another one from memory, but this is another women's issue one. And that's how I started the show in 2010 when I did my birthday feature. So this is a poem, the first one I ever had a video for, and it is called Too Far. When he met me, he told me I looked like Kim Basinger, long blonde locks. But as time wore on, I knew I wasn't her, and I could never be her. And I was never good enough, thin enough, pretty enough. So I got a perm, I straightened my teeth, I bought the Wonder Bra, but that wasn't doing the trick. So I decided to exercise, and I used a stair stepper, and I ate rice cakes and wheat germ. I wasn't thin enough. I only dropped 20 pounds. So I went to the spa, and I stuffed myself in mud and wrapped myself in cellophane, bought the amino acid facial creams, though I knew they didn't really work. So I went to the doctor and got my nose slimmed, my tummy stapled, and my thighs sucked. Thought about getting a rib or two removed, like Cher. But I figured they've got to be there for something. And hey, that's just going too far. All the crap those little do to make themselves beautiful, right? Get a rib or two removed. Anyway, please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up. We've been waiting for you, Tom. Encore for Tom. Give it up for Tom.
Did you really have a rib or two removed?
Shit, there's all these rumors of Cher, but she didn't do that. But
Did you
people
really have long blonde locks?
I did once, yes.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time I had long blonde locks.
But supposedly-
Scary as that looks, I had blonde hair, yeah. I had long blonde hair, yeah.
But supposedly Adam had a rib removed.
All the things they do for a woman, right?
Yeah.
That's one guy, a guy supposedly
Contributed?
contributed, yeah.
All for I do know women are contributing ribs.
Just so
I would have sex with that rib. Just saying.
I'm dying. What's your pop top? Come on,
Ryan. How many people have been to a party?
Never. Never.
Never?
What?
Okay,
What is
yeah,
this
that's
party
what I
thing
thought.
that you're talking?
You're at
Well,
Unless you count me.
it's
by
like you
myself.
go to this place and you kind of just sit there and hate everyone. I mean, not hate everyone. Look at them and then just realize how, there's no way to say it. I'm not really sure, but have you ever been to a party and just kind of sat around and looked at everyone and just didn't want to talk? Anyone?
That was high school. My high school reunion or hey, what? Anything.
All right, I guess that works for you.
We're poets, we're introverts.
Hey. Okay, I guess you're right. Anyways, yeah, it's called Party. Basement apartment. A chilly night in June. She's here. What? Me, I'm sitting on the floor outside, cigarette like dynamite, ticking, ticking. She's here, and this symbolizes the end. End? End of what? The world, or me, or who I am, or just the height of my night? When I execute my flawlessly flawed plan, the quote-unquote great escape. Because there isn't a thing such as love. And there is no plastic or metal or whatever to hold love in. This is the reason why I'm leaking like a desert. And if you can, guys, insert a water sound right here. Or water, actually. Actual water would be better. And that's why I'm leaking all over her. And if you can insert her right here too, that'd be even better. But by that logic, love is just something we feel drip, drip, dripping on our heads. There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But just help me when I'm frightened, all right? And I'll help you when you're drunk, okay? Don't mind anything that's on the road behind us or ahead of us. And don't mind death on our heels, like a basset hound. But I'm never forgetting it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome hearing all these awesome newies coming for this phenomenal feature, Andy Carroll, which will be up in just a few minutes, because I'm going to make everybody take a break, and we want to overwork Tressa and just have her go, oh, I gotta eat more and more and more. I'm also holding this handy dandy bag. If anybody has not donated for our feature, I'm going to go trolling around with it. So we'll see you in just a few minutes for a great feature. Thank you, thank you. There's a man that came up here late, and he really doesn't need an introduction, but please give it up for Sergio for the open mic for Ricky.
I made 2 poems in my life. One in 6th grade and one in 7th grade. I'll do my 6th grade poem first. It's called My People. My people are poor and oppressed for that. My people were robbed of the money hats. The white man, he wears this rich cap. He uses to kill and outlast. He stepped on browns, blacks, and also reds. He's aching to get killed. He's going to be dead. For my people have had enough of him. And once we get started, we'll tear from the limit. Although the innocent will die with them. This is how the white man wants us end. For brown and my proud as can be, and I won't let no white man step on me. Thank you. I have you know that poem was written in 1966. I was in the 6th grade at the time. I've been through many social changes since then, and I'm almost not that much prejudiced no more. I'm almost. For my 7th grade poem, it's called Shivering Through. Shivering through one endless dream of cold warmth and hate, I opened up my sparkling beam of loved ones in debate. Suddenly that sun appeared from beneath my soul, never freeze and never let my heart go icy cold. And in that splendor of this set that floats upon that bay that's made of an adult world and many more astray. It twinkles in this twilight zone to call upon some God, but for its answer it receives one fumbling stupid clod. And I wonder if it's right for me to shiver through my dreams. I wonder if it's right for me to learn life's little schemes. For shivering through one endless dream of cold warmth and hate, I opened up my sparkling beam of loved ones in debate. Thank you. This last poem has got a very long title, but it's a very short poem. Title of this poem is I'm a Caveman. I have cavemen friends, and sometimes we lend support. I'm a caveman, I have cavemen friends, and sometimes we lend support. This is the poem. Oh, bro, that's fucked up, man. Fuck shit, man. That's fucked up. Thank you.
Thank you for all coming, and thank you for your late bloomers. And I hope to see you guys next week and every other week right here at the Cafe Gathering Cabaret. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I can't believe this with you people because it keeps getting more and more open micers coming in. So I hope I can't see my lady because I got all these stage lights in my face. So Amanda, are you there? My darling, give it up for our open micer. Give it up for Amanda.
I'm very nervous and I may not remember all of it, but thank you for listening. Okay. So this is about an experience that I once had, but an experience that I continue to have, which is amazing. Oh, I'm so nervous. Hang on. You're fine. You've got a little ledge there you can put your drink onto.
Yeah.
We've got a column there. You have any deals with nerves? Okay, it's your
Exercise to go all the way down.
All right. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. All is so surreal. All is so surreal when you begin to see. Flickering and fluttering life beside and within me. Outreached hands, my fingers dancing in the wind. I brace myself and lay my head back and take it all in. Breathe and feel my lungs excite as breath begins. Ah, I am so happy. I am part me, made up of parts for you to see. You are part you, parts make us believe. The buzz of that bug's wings made the show as I perceive. The strings' vibrations switched the hitch and let this all be. Pink, blue, orange created love here. I captured a rainbow within and saw the reflection in the mirror. Winked at the open soul and shed a delighted tear. I captured the gift of love and had to spread it far and near. And that's it.
I love it, I love it, I love it. I would tell anybody who is filming video, if you are interested, we would like to be able to share this. We have the Andy Carroll feature, which is just up if you go to Andy M. Carroll on Facebook, or if you bug Janet Kuypers, JANETKUYPERS, on Facebook, or if you can remember the web address, chaoticarts.org/thecafe. You can get all the info there because we'd love to see the video for it as well, because we're all filming this like mad, and all of these open micers would be up for the open mic podcast and YouTube clips. And thank you all, thank you, and I hope to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you next week.